Hello, I'm Rebecca of the Garden Gate Flower Company.
And I'm Grace of Grace Alexander Flowers.
And we've come together to create Stuart and Alexander, Gather at the Garden Gate.
A podcast taking you behind the scenes of two gardens, what we've been up to, inside, outside, and out and about.
Welcome to season 3 of Stuart and Alexander. Stuart and Alexander are very pleased to be back chatting, I have to say. Well, Alexander is. Is Stuart?
I am really pleased. Well, I actually had it all set up a week to go announcement and we're getting excited. And then realised actually it was 2 weeks to go, so I had to leave it. And then obviously life gets busy and I then missed the 1 week to go. So it was, I don't know, I peaked way too early, basically, in excitement.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably it was the time that I was setting up all the times for recording, because that's how much I was excited about it.
I've had loads of people messaging saying, yay, we can't wait to hear you again.
No.
Which is really nice. Which is really nice. Oh my goodness, how have you been? How have you been?
Oh, it's been so busy. It has been nothing as busy as you, because we're going to hear all about how just absolutely crazy you've been with the old weddings. But it's been fab. I've had such a lovely couple of weeks, which really annoyingly have been absolutely chock full with exciting things happening that I couldn't tell you about because we weren't here.
Yeah,
and
it
you were
was
doing
quite funny
stuff.
that I chose to have the break right at the time that you had loads of outs to discuss. I love that.
Lots of really lovely things to discuss in out and out actually. But before we get onto that, how are you? Have you recovered?
Well,
you
I'm
okay?
still just in the last throes of it, really. And this week is quite crazy. Next week's my last. Well, I'd say next week's my last. It's not my last wedding of the year, but it is probably the last wedding of the year with all of my flowers. That would be the fair thing to say. So I have a November, which is very late for me. And I would say I don't normally take weddings in November. But this lovely couple actually had to postpone their wedding by a year for one reason or another. And so, yes, that's just what happens sometimes, isn't it? So
Life,
nice, exactly. I will be hoping for lots of. I was quite excited because I did have an email to say that the Isles of Scilly's paper whites are all starting to flower. So that gave me some excitement, thinking, great, I don't have a problem now with November. As per normal, we do like to make miracles when we are growers. But this season has been a real challenge. We are still talking about it, I'm sure. This whole entire season, a year of podcasting is about a challenging year, isn't it, of growing? Goodness.
Yeah, I don't know why the show notes don't just read weather
slugs. Yeah, exactly.
Have you even had time for an inn? Have you even been in your own home, in your own house doing anything? Do you out?
What have I been in? I am completely unprepared for this first episode. I apologise to everyone watching this. So this is the moment where my brain is going, which one have I doing? What have I been up to? I've just been on a roundabout of the same ins, same outs, the same out and about. So, yes, go on, you rescue me with your in whilst I listen to you and also plan what mine are.
Well, I do have a tiny scrap of paper next to me, which I did make some notes on the other day for this. So not wanting to show off how prepared I am. But funnily enough, the ins came across slightly poetic, unintentionally, which is dahlias and dust. That's my in.
Yeah.
So I finally have some dahlias. It's taken until pretty much October for them to actually flower. And it's a beautiful sunny day today, actually.
It's lovely,
so I'm
isn't
hoping that it's going to bring on some more. So I am bringing my dahlias into the house, but my house is just coated in dust. So the renovation project has come on leaps and bounds since we last spoke. We're losing walls at the rate of knots, which is amazing. So, but everything is covered in that layer of dust that happens when you take plaster down. It is so exciting.
My house is red brick, got red brick edges, and is your dust pretty dust? Because my dust was pink dust. If we're going to colour coordinate dust, I had pink. I had the colour that everybody wants everywhere, apart from on layers on top of everything you eat and put your hands on. Yeah. So yours is cob, isn't it?
Well, we'd never take any cob down. What we're taking down is that's been put over our beautiful, beautiful house. And any of the Portland cement anywhere. And so to be honest, it's thick, gritty dust. But no, it doesn't look great on the dahlias. But dahlias improve everything, don't they? A big jug of dahlias on your kitchen table, you can forgive a lot.
There's no dahlias coming into my kitchen table at the moment because every single stem is being used for the weddings. So I've had a very, very reduced amount of excessive flowers in my area. But But yeah, it's interesting we were talking about inns though. I do know what I've been doing in, and it has just jogged my memory when you were saying. Is anyone else, have you been doing loads of research into candles? I've got into candles again. Just suddenly, it came on. And I tell you when it came on is because we've just had that storm, haven't we? And I
Yes.
realised how dark my kitchen was. And I went around trying to find, because I tend to put the scented candles away, I have to say, in summer. I don't really use, I don't know about you, I don't do a lot of candles in summer. So they'd all gone
No.
to the big chest cupboard in the kitchen. And I suddenly thought, oh, I'm going to light a candle. I'm doing some admin, I'll light a candle. And I found a really beautiful candle, which is not normally a scent that I really like, but it was really, it's quite, I think it's quite masculine actually. And it was absolutely beautiful, which made me go down a rabbit hole of candles. And I've decided this year is the year that I buy a 3-wick candle. I know. I've put it in the same category as my cashmere jogger obsession, which I haven't bought either yet.
Lots of messages saying they really do gape at the knee.
Did you?
So don't bother.
Did you?
Yeah, I had lots of messages about that. On the candles.
Yeah.
So I had a Rebecca Proctor, lovely
Cornish lady.
ceramicist.
Yep.
I have lots of her work, and I did have from years ago. I had a little jar that originally came with a candle in, and it fitted perfectly the Marks and Spencer's refillables.
That's
so you can
clever.
just buy the candle and it slots in. So I just reached the end of one, and so I put it on the back of the Everhot to melt down, and then I could just pour the wax away and put the next one in. And of course, my husband opened the lid of the Everhot and broke it. So I'm never going to be able to get another one because she doesn't do them anymore. But not only that, is it got some wax onto the Everhot. And so for about 4 days, all I could smell was this incredibly strong, and it's put me off scented candles. If not for life, then at least for about a year. I never want to smell a scented candle ever again.
It is funny, isn't it? Because I do think that is a thing. I found a company called Pot Candle, Pott Candle, and they do handmade pots with candle refills in them, exactly like Rebecca Proctor as well. And they look very, very nice. And I went on their website just to see what they had, and they're still having their autumn collection, but their winter collection is coming out in the next couple of days. So I'm going to keep an eye on them. The only thing I am very I like everything scent sensitive. I don't really want to be spending, let's just say, quite a bit of money, because these big ones are quite a bit of money, aren't they? Unless I know. But interestingly, they do, along with a few other companies that I was looking at, they do the wax scent. So you can actually send for little scent samples, which is obviously not the wicks, but just the candle wax. So you can smell them. There is obviously a bit of variation, I would imagine, when you burn it versus when you just smell the cold wax. But I thought that was quite a clever idea.
Yeah.
Equally, I do think my life is going to be transformed with a 3-wick candle, and I need to manage that expectation because I fear it's not.
You're going to tell me that you don't have TK Maxx in Cornwall, aren't you?
No, we do. Amazingly, it's.
Have you got TK Maxx? Got Home Sense? I mean,
don't know.
Absolutely known for. Well, actually, you can get them on the website. There was some.
Is it like a cheap knockoff?
Really beautiful. No, they are end of lines and stuff like that. So there was some Joe Malone candles, 3-wick candles, and you're not going to get Diptyque or anything like that. But some really, big name white company candles. I think they
nice.
Yeah, for like
well,
half
the other
price.
thing is when I did go down this rabbit hole of candles, I will say, because I have a little bit of a paranoia because we have got a dog, 2 children, very small, old Victorian cottage with 3 stories, not many exits, blah, blah, blah. I do get a bit worried about the candle scenario. So I do have 2 scent diffusers downstairs, one in the kitchen and one in the sitting room. And in the meantime of my kind of planning my 3-wick candle, I bought these really nice Avery, I think it's Avery, Avery, botanical oils to go in the burners. Oh my goodness, the fig. So I bought the botanical one. They've got a little set of, it was bonsai tree, citrus, and the fig. Oh, the fig is lovely. I love anything figgy. I really do. Love anything figgy. So I bought that, and I would say, so I put them, I've got a neon one and I've got a white company one. I just put anything in them, to be honest with you. I don't keep on brand. And they, if you're not a big candle or a bit paranoid like I am about naked flames and just going out and be distracted.
Well, Thatch Cottage.
Yeah, I'm just the sort of person that will come in sit down, do some admin, light a candle, and then I'll be distracted by something outside, and I'll go out and I'll come back in and there's cat. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Those have just arrived. So that, I would say my in is nesting for the yeah,
God,
is nesting.
you are figgy nesting.
I'm nesting a bit. Yeah. That ties me into slightly my, now this needs to come with a disclaimer of this being really traumatic. My out. Okay. So whilst doing my admin and having my scented candle, I had the most awful sound in the garden with a bird. I didn't even know if I wanted to share this. But anyway, I have got the most beautiful crabapple tree. And I wonder whether you have this, and I'm sure other listeners will have this problem. Sparrowhawk. So I thought next door's cat had got a bird. So I went rushing out only to find it. I'm pretty sure it must have been a sparrowhawk on top of a female blackbird. And it was the most traumatic thing that happened to me in my day. I know. And I know it's nature and all that sort of thing. But can nature just not misbehave right in front of me on admin day? So I feel like I've got this lovely natural bird feeder of these crabapples, which the blackbirds absolutely love. They're coming down and they're just feeding in their masses. But then there's some evil sparrowhawk in the woods, like going, oh, great, this is dinner next. Yeah. Do you get them with you?
So we have about a quarter of a mile away across a very, very shallow valley with a stream down it opposite. And in that wood, Vicarage Wood, are a lot of buzzards.
No, you might. No, I know it might be a buzzard. This wasn't as big as a buzzard. It must. I reckon it's a sparrowhawk. It's smaller.
So I think they probably keep a bit of a lid on everything else. So no, they don't come into the village. But the first crabapples have gone. But my butterball ones are only just really ripening, so nothing's come from those yet. I have lots and lots of blackbirds in the apple tree next door. They sit in that a lot. But no, I haven't seen any.
So I've been out in my garden on buzzard watch now, because I found it so traumatic. And it's interesting because I think last year there were all these feathers on the patio area where I've got the seating. Oh, no. And I thought it was a cat, but now I'm thinking this is a sparrow.
This is nature red in tooth and claw.
But I did also jet hose the patio and managed to take quite a lot of pleasure in jet hosing a very big slug.
You're part of the web.
Please bring back some sort of normal out, Grace. What have you been doing out?
Yeah, well, the exciting out is, so there's my in and my out are linked together, really, which is, as many of you know, we have got the middle cottage of a terrace and the end cottage of a terrace, and we are in the process of very sensitively, because they're very old, putting them together. So that's been happening inside. But obviously it means we've got the two back gardens, which are quite long and thin and run together like pieces of a Kit Kat. I've just started taking the hedge out in between.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Matching the inside of the house and the outside of the house. I'm not very good at it. It's a beech hedge that we planted and a wire fence. It is fighting back a little bit, but even where we've just cut it right back, just standing in that space and being able to envision. The word space is such a weird one. I can't believe the difference it makes to the feeling of being somewhere, having walls removed. It's such a strange, weird, I almost can't explain it. Yeah. I just stood there saying, oh my God, it's so light. I feel so light standing here without this huge hedge in front of me. I feel light in my body just being in this space. I mean, it doesn't last, it wears off and you think, oh yeah,
you'll forget about it next year sort of thing, won't you? But that initial feeling when you take something out, when you remove, it does change, doesn't it?
It's amazing. It's getting a bit addictive, I think. That's my worry, is I'm just going to keep like knocking through into, I don't know what. But anyway, so we've just been doing that today. Naomi's been helping me in the garden and she's been great with the loppers, just trying to get some of it out so we can see what we've got. I'm really in the wobbly stage of, am I really going to do this for myself? We're just going to get landscapers in with a digger, because there's a lot of paths and they're all going to be hugging or quite hard landscaping. So that's stuff I can't
I'm
really
totally
do.
Overwhelmed. I'm totally overwhelmed by this extra bit of land I've got now. I've had well, it's funny you say about your garden, and it's I come away, and I don't know about you, I come away and I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's going to be okay. And then I make a plan in my head, and then I go back and see it again, and I just have this whole rushing feeling of, oh my goodness, can I do this? Or should I get some, like you said, should I get some help in? Because it's very difficult. I don't know how obviously we're both gardening for very different reasons. This is your private home. Mine is obviously my business. But time is such a short thing now. Like you don't get time back. If you don't get something cleared and something planted by a certain time, you've missed that window.
Yeah.
And I think this often happens to me when I'm coming to the end of a wedding season, or if I'm building up to a wedding season. I get this panic, like transition time, where I'm like, I've got to do something in this time. Inevitably, I make it work, but it just feels sometimes bigger than it really should feel. I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean about the window thing. So I've just come off of about a 3 to 4 week period in my day job where it has been insane. Absolutely, like literally, I haven't been able to do anything else. I've got up, I've gone to work. Even when I'm not at work, it's been crisis after crisis, report after report. It's been mental. And then I've come up for air and I'm like, I've missed September, like hardy annuals.
Yeah, you're not going to get that time. Yeah, it's so bad, isn't it?
And then you just have to think, thank God for self-sewing. I've just found a huge patch of self-sewn foxgloves that look better than my foxgloves. And I was like, well, thank God for that.
Often nature, I have to say, does it better than we do, doesn't it? It really
Absolutely.
is. But I'm the same. I've got a child leaving the country at the end of October in actually something like 20 days. And he even said it himself. He's like, where did September go, Mum? I was like, I don't know. Like, it literally, September rocketed by in a mist of bad, drizzly weather, firefighting.
Yes,
but I've got to the stage now, I think, with this extra bit of land where I think I need to not look at it as the whole space. I need to look at it as, let's just concentrate on this bed and then this bed and then this bed. But honestly, Grace, every time I go up to the land, the weeds are growing at a faster rate than any flower that is in the other part of the land. I just can't. Why is that? Why is that looking so much better?
I think it's because if you've got any bare ground, I've really noticed the germination rate in the last few weeks. We've got that equinox it's mirroring the spring. So actually I've had some really weird things happen. I did harvest a lot of my sweet pea seed, and obviously I don't cut my sweet peas because I don't want to upset seed. But they always say to you, if you cut your seed pods off, you get more flowers. So I've had these just huge rushes of sweet peas, which is a combination of me having cut all the seeds off and panicking the plant, but also just the day length right now is a really powerful trigger for things that are thinking, oh my goodness, I've either got to germinate pre-winter or this feels a bit springish.
Yeah. Actually, funny enough, I've had some of the ends of my sweet peas I've cut and used in bridal bouquets literally like 2 weeks ago. Because they look amazing. I'm like, what's going on? The whole plant's dead apart from this tiny bit at the top, which looks amazing.
Yes, exactly what I've got. Yeah.
But I think this is, I just think I need to, so I've got a lovely lady that has been before and volunteered and just helped. And I think I'm going to just see if she is available and just say, would you like to do a day? And we'll just see and focus the mind a little bit. But I am also one of those gardeners, and I don't know whether you are, but I find myself doing it every year. And I think this is because it's a wedding industry thing and it is a garden that is obviously very productive. I like to tuck everything up and go to bed. I don't like, so this is also a very letting go problem of mine. I like everything to be neat and tidy, tidied, put away, lovely. And then we can sit down, watch Netflix, and get her to bed at 10 o'clock in the morning and put PJs on again at 2. Do you know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah, no, I'm not that person.
No, you're not that
I'm
person.
not that person.
We are yin and yang, aren't we, though? We did say this.
I am not a finisher, and I've always started the next thing before I finish the thing before.
Oh, it's so funny. I'm not at all. I like everything finished. Yeah, I'm a finisher.
No, I was sowing seeds in the greenhouse although there was early to sit down for this, but I have left my cup in there and all the packets half open in there and a pen in there. And I thought, I'll just go and do the podcast and I'll come back and I'll get that. But actually, after we've done this, I've got to do something else. And then after that, I've got to do, and I'll go out tomorrow morning and the cup is
it's quite a good job I am a finisher, given what I do as a job, though. I will just put that out there. I'm putting that on my CV. I'm a finisher. I will bring you your bridal flowers at the right time. Yes.
Oh, well, funnily enough, I was always quite good at that because there's a really hard
deadline.
There is
a hard deadline, isn't there? Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's no, oh God, I'm so sorry. It's the only chance I could bring it tomorrow. None of that business. Yeah, no, I was always quite, never
Maybe don't you give yourself credit for it, really. So what? So I almost loathe to ask, what have you been doing out?
Which one do you want?
Stop. I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you 2 you can do to balance out my probably can't.
Oh, can I borrow yours?
Yeah, I was going
Can I
to
borrow
say,
your
if you've got-
slot?
yeah, you can borrow my slot. You can go 4 if you want.
Well, the first one that I know you were so sad to miss was Britt Willoughby's Private View. That was lovely. I was horrendously late because I didn't finish work on time and then the motorway was dreadful. But I got there and it was utterly delightful. So many lovely people there. Christy was there.
Yeah.
Had a lovely chat with Christy and her husband
Christy
Nick.
Ramage.
And they're getting a puppy. Yeah, Christy Ramage. Christy Ramage gets a mention in most of our podcasts, I think. Christy, who's designed my garden. Polly Nicholson was there of Bainton Flowers, met her husband too, Ed. Lovely to do that. Anna Game was there, so had a lovely little turn around the room with her, hearing all about how she was setting up at Strawberry Hill and she'd been super busy. Oh, it was just...
It was delightful, was it?
It was delightful, beautiful space at time. So we were there to have a look at the launch of the exhibition of photographs that Britt has done, which is still open. I think it's on until
I think
February,
it's on. It has. It's got quite a long time that it's on for.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. I was actually quite impressed.
Yeah, so if you are in the area, in the Cotswolds, then really do go and have a look because it was beautiful. It's a beautiful space, that anyway. I have been there before.
Yeah, I've never been actually.
The pictures look stunning, absolutely stunning.
It's like a beautiful
in the
barn it's in, isn't it? It's a really lovely space.
Yeah.
The whole of time, this place looks really lovely. I'm really intrigued to go. But as we know, this is not on my doorstep by any shape or measure.
To be fair, it was 2 hours. It's 2 hours door to door for me, which I was a bit like, I hadn't quite clocked that. I wouldn't have missed it for the world, but I did think, because I got my car, oh God, I haven't timed this right. Yes, so that was absolutely
And some of her
lovely.
photography is she's done quite a lot of black and white, hasn't she? And it's all of the tulip studies. It's all of the heritage tulips.
Yeah, the English florist.
Is that what they
tulips.
are? Yeah, okay. I know she was really getting into them over a number of years, wasn't she? And yeah, it does look beautiful. And I'm really sorry that I didn't make it, Brit. But a note to my friends, do not launch exhibitions in wedding season.
So that was lovely. I was very envious, actually, that they were shepherding us out at about 8 o'clock and Joanna was going off to the local pubs. Time has got a pub in the village as well. She was going off there for dinner, which I was quite envious about because I was quite hungry about that point. And have a glass of champagne on top of a long drive home. Yes, so that was fabulous.
And
I tell you what, who else I met there is somebody who's from the Garden Media Guild. I can't remember her name, but when she introduced herself, her job title was like basically the best job title ever.
What?
She said, I'm the reporter for the society pages of the Cotswold Life.
Oh.
And I was just like, it's not the Cotswold Life, is it? It's Cotswold Life. Cotswold Life. And I was like, that has got to be
the best job
in the world.
The best job in the world. Did you say I won that job? How long were you planning to be?
I did. Of course I did. Of course I did. Yeah. That was quite funny. I tried to get a mention in Cotswold Life.
You did your hustle.
I'm not sure if I succeeded or not.
If anyone's reading Cotswold Life, could you let them know whether Grace is in it, please? It's in the next episode. In the next magazine.
Oh gosh, well that makes me sound all very sort of society because the second one, that of course the card I'm going to play is
Oh my
Highgrove.
goodness. Yes.
So last
Can
week,
I just interject
week,
before that though? If anybody is on Gather, then I really urge you to listen to Grace's write-up of Highgrove. Read it if you like, but listening to it, can I say I've listened to it twice? I've listened to it twice.
Oh,
I absolutely loved listening. So Grace does a newsletter and I think you do 2 things a week, don't you? I'm really terrible friend, sorry. I think it comes through twice a week.
No, it's fine. There is a weekly newsletter that everybody gets, but Gather has exclusive content once a week.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Out something very special for Gather members.
And this week it was all about your Highgrove. But because I'm actually dyslexic, and I've said to Grace a number of times, reading for me is quite a challenge. And you write beautifully, so I read it and it's lovely. But when I listened to it, I hadn't actually realised how much effort I probably have to put in to read it, for it to go in and to enjoy it. So the process of reading is really, for somebody who's dyslexic, it's like having to really concentrate on the words. And then you lose the flow of a story, which is why I'm not a big reader. I don't read many books. If I do read a book, I always literally give myself a pat on the back because it's just, I feel such a huge sense of achievement. And I do literature, but I'm so pleased that you've started doing it in reading to me. So basically you're my bedtime story. Anyway, sorry, I interject, but I literally wanted to bring this up, and I wanted to bring it up on this podcast because I think it's really inclusive as well, being able to have it as a spoken word.
Absolutely. Yeah. So but as part of my job at work, a big part of it is presenting information in an accessible way. And I feel a bit daft that because you have mentioned it to me a few times about how it's a challenge for you. And I do write quite simply, and I do lots of quite short sentences and quite short paragraphs. So I do hope that it's not too much of a struggle to engage in the writing that I do. But you're right. I think there is something. Well, actually, it's doing this podcast has given me the confidence just to sit down and know how that I'm going to be able to edit it, and audio being so much more part of what I do. So I record the Gather exclusive content, and sometimes that's a film anyway. I do little garden tours for Gather, which are just little films. With the weekly newsletter that everybody gets, which is the Journal of a Flower Lover, which is my Sunday night one, I do have an intro and an outro for that one. But the high growth one was a bit like, I'm just going to take a run up and do it and hope for the best. And I literally just press record.
It's good.
And then
Did you do it in one take? Right. Did you read it in one take? Oh my goodness, you're so clever. I could not do that. But then that's obviously.
I had one go, and then I realised I hadn't put the right microphone in.
Well, fair enough.
Let's do it again. The second time it just was straight through. But yeah, so it was all about the kitchen garden at Highgrove, all about what we were doing there in the first place. And and it was a really magical day, actually. It was lovely. And I have been before. So my husband and I had a very similar ex-military meetup, special event type thing. But the last time we went, he was literally about to leave the country for 2 months. He met me there in a hire car. I was not in the right headspace to make the most of it. I was a bit defending hard. It was all there's lots going on for us in terms of his job and stuff like that. So actually, I came away feeling not really like I'd made the best of a very special opportunity. Whereas this time, we were both booked the day off work. Nothing mad's going to happen, hopefully. And we just went and just had a really lovely day.
It sounded so nice, and it sounded. Can you ask for a friend? Can you go to Highgrove? Can you book to go? Because it's funny, because obviously I live in Lostwithiel, which we did have, the now king in his duchy residency here, and often the nursery would be invited up to Highgrove for events and things like that. And I used to think, oh gosh, I really want to go to one of those. But is it open to the public at all?
So I think you can just book
You
a tour.
can.
I think you can. I don't know. So the 2 occasions that I've been on, we've been invited by Camilla because my husband was in the regiment of which she was colonel-in-chief. And so we just get an email saying, would you like to come on this special event tour thing? But there were other people later on in the day who came in who clearly weren't ex-military, because you can spot an ex-military man at 50 paces when you get your eye in. And we had a big meal afterwards and stuff, and it was really lovely. But they were just coming in for cups of tea and stuff like that. And there's a shop there, which makes me think
there's got to be something.
You should just be able to come and do a tour. So
I've always wanted to see it, actually. I've always wanted to see it.
It's a beautiful house. It is a beautiful
house
garden
as well. I love architecture.
The house is very, very special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just very, very beautiful.
I do dob in on the Gather recording. I do dob in the bits of it that I really do.
I know. I love that. So then I think that's the thing about a garden. Everyone's garden is quite personal. There's probably things in most people's garden that you go, I like that more. It's not really mine.
Yeah, but that's what I find so amazing, that you could be the king and have whatever you wanted, and the thing that you chose is the thing that I really wouldn't choose.
No. And I think I'd be similar on your thing that you didn't like. It's not, and I'm not going to say anything about it, because if you want to hear more, you probably have to go and Gather and read it and listen to it.
Well, also, I'm slightly worried that, so my brother and my sister-in-law have both got MBEs, and I'm fairly sure I've just blown all of my chances ever getting any sort of anything, because I've been really rude about
I don't think you've been really rude. I don't think at all. I don't think at all. But you did choose a very wet day to go, so you managed to get a bit out of it. You did really well given the weather conditions you went to see it in, isn't it? Which is really nice. Yeah. Well, me out. I've been hardly doing anything, as you can imagine. I have been out. I've been out. I've been all the way onto the Roseland, and goodness knows what. Yeah, we had a lovely wedding out on the Roseland. That was absolutely beautiful. The Roseland's gorgeous. The Roseland it's
is.
got like a microclimate. So if you think Cornwall's got a bit of a microclimate, then you go to the Roseland and it's like even more. So that was really lovely. And I have to say, because we decided, because it's actually, for me, can you believe it's a 2-hour round trip home to the
No.
Yes. Can you believe it? Yeah, it's an hour there and an hour back. So and it was quite a big wedding to set up, and we obviously have to do the breakdown. So actually, Mum and I stay, as in just not overnight, but stayed on the Roseland on the Saturday until after the wedding to actually break down the church. And I decided to take Mum, because she'd been absolute flipping superstar, to the Standard at Porthscafo, which is that lovely pub, which I think I've mentioned on here before, which is the Hidden Huts pub, which is the famous.
I didn't know it had a pub.
Yeah, haven't I mentioned this on there? I can't remember whether I've mentioned this on the podcast or not.
Because I would. It's okay. Absolutely the sort of thing.
Okay, I'm gonna find. I thought I had mentioned it because I had gone with Andy very early on in the podcast. I thought, but maybe I haven't.
I'm not a finisher, but I don't ever forget.
Oh, you don't forget a pub. Yeah, well,
or a pub
well,
recommendation.
So basically, there's a really good pub. It's called the Standard Inn, and it is run by the people that have the Hidden Hut, which is the famous, not so hidden hut anymore, at Porthscafo. I know, at Porthscafo. And the food, it's interesting. So even the time, I think I must have gone earlier in the year, very early in the year, possibly even the winter, with Andy, and then obviously went just recently with Mum, and they've done an awful lot in the back garden, I think, to try and obviously encourage more all year round food. They've got an amazing outdoor kitchen. Actually, they've got multiple outdoor kitchens. But I tell you what, the one thing that really drew my attention, and I love this about gardening, they had a little courtyard, so you walk in at the back, and it's all very quaint and lovely, and just as you'd imagine it would be done. And there are 2 pots on the floor, and literally the most overrun passion flower going in. So they're in, but they're in pots. They're in these big galvanized pots. And actually, one of them was a big galvanized pot, and the other one was actually not that big. And I think they must have had 2, and they just had passion flowers all over. I thought, this is just so simple. Sometimes you go to sort of pubs and you think, gosh, the planting's a bit boring, or this outdoor space it's been all about cramming as many seats in as possible, and actually it's not really that nice area to sit in. I was really impressed with the planting. As well as how amazing the outdoor kitchen looked and fitted in with the space. And I think they do a few events there, because the inside of the pub they've kept completely like a really old traditional pub. So they haven't done that whole ripping it out and putting cream birch everywhere and wooden floors. It is literally like going back into an old pub, which I love as well, by the way. I love a bit of lighting where you can't see your food. Do you know what I mean? In a pub. So it was really good. So Mum and I, we did the classic thing of going, I like everything on the menu, so we're going to have half of everything.
Oh, brilliant.
So that was quite hilarious, actually. And actually, as it would, there were multiple weddings on the Roseland that weekend. And actually, I knew most of the florists servicing those weddings. And just as we were finishing our food, a bride turned up. And I had a moment thinking, oh, God, I hope everything's all right. Do you know what I mean? I was like, and I was thinking, that's not my bride. So it's okay. And she was just grabbing a drink with her dad before she went off to get married. But it was one of those slight moments where you're like, it's like when somebody is on the plane and they need a doctor. I was like, sorry, is somebody literally going to come into the pub now and say, is anyone a florist?
Oh my God, that would be so funny.
I know. Yeah. So my outs have been, I'm afraid, racing around after clients at the moment. But I do have a out for next week because Becca is leaving Cornwall at the weekend. Yes,
no.
I am. I'm going to a 60th birthday party back to my home. Well, I say my home because my home is actually Cornwall. I am from Cornwall. I was grown up in Cornwall, but where we were in Bath. So I'm going back that way. So I'm going to be visiting a garden on my way up, and I will. Okay. And it's a garden everybody's been to apart from me, which is I'm just rectifying this because I can't continue with the podcast without having gone to this garden. So there you go. I'm not going to say any more.
You're just going to leave it hanging. You're going to leave it hanging.
I am. I think I'm giving it a good time though of year. You could maybe have a think about which garden you think it might be. It's got you thinking, isn't it?
What day are you going?
I'm going on Saturday. This week, as in this weekend. When this comes out, I shall be off for a weekend.
Well, I don't want to trump.
Oh
that.
no,
But we need to be around next Thursday.
Already? We've only had one recording, the amazing one.
I know. And I don't know whether I'm allowed to talk about it yet.
Oh my goodness.
Because
it's
it
like got
hasn't
royal
launched yet,
approval
but
or something.
I am going somewhere with some people.
Oh my God.
For a party on the Thursday, and I have to be there at 4:15 or 4:30 or something. And it is 2 hours away.
Oh.
And it would blow your mind if I told you he was also going.
I'm going to,
But I will tell you next week.
no, well, you're going to tell me when we stop recording, because I'm not going to wait till next week. Obviously, I get to hear about this before. The lovely listeners don't.
I'm actually on embargo at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Okay. We won't discuss it. That's the disclaimer.
we absolutely won't discuss it. But it does mean that I'm going to be,
So
I'm
you need a
afraid,
podcast recording earlier in the day.
yes, or the day after, which would mean I could tell you all about it.
I can't because it's my last wedding. It's the
Friday.
last wedding.
Oh.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we'll sort this out.
Listeners don't need to listen to us
Arranging
talk
our
about
diary.
diaries.
But listeners, this
yeah.
is what it's like trying to organise a podcast. It's really hard.
Oh, it's not often that I say I'm really sorry. I'm going to a Cotswold spa and hotel for a massive party.
I'm going to start a tally.
It's not a massive party. It's an
It's
exclusive
party.
But anyway.
It sounds fun. Well, listen, I think it's lovely to be back. I'm really pleased to be back. I really missed you. I did message you a few times, didn't I?
Yeah, I know. We had to tell each other things, didn't we? Just because we missed talking to each other.
I know, exactly. So it was lovely. It was really nice. So hopefully everybody is very excited to come along with us. Season 3 is going to run up to just before Christmas, so taking us into December. And I think we're talking about doing a little Christmas special, aren't we? So so that should be really exciting. And then we're going to have a bit of Christmas and a little bit of January off, and then coming back at some stage. I don't know. I can't remember what we agreed, but I expect we'll all need to have something to look forward to.
Oh God, we can't be doing season 4 already.
No, we're not planning it far ahead.
I can't manage next week.
No. But we have been really good because we've scheduled them all, and you've sent me links to every single one of the recordings. Oh, you're so organised. You are so keen. It's hilarious.
I am keen. I might not be a finisher, but when I do engage in something, my admin is all over it.
Yeah, you're all over the tech. Well, listen, it's lovely to chat with you. I hope you have a nice weekend. I certainly am looking forward to mine. And we will be back next week. Lovely to chat to you.
Yes.
All
right. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.